let's talk about some joint ventures, partnerships, that type of stuff.
Yeah, so one thing that was interesting is we kept going and we started working with folks. We've been talking a lot about the idea where there needs to be certain things that you do. There has to be a certain order. You do this, then you go to this, then you go to this. And if you go out of order, things can go from that either it didn't work out as well as I wished to like this is borderline catastrophic what I've done,
Yeah.
right? And sadly, we've been involved with both of those, right?
Yeah.
And but as we had folks that were killing it in the right order, and you've done all the groundwork we've talked about, you've done all that foundational work, you've then built into where now you kind of have all your tools are razor sharp and you're ready to kind of start executing on them, and you start off the way everyone should always start off anything, which is you kind of start testing it in friendly circles, right? You test a new idea, you test a new concept with people that are probably closest to you, right? They're already the members of your gym. For me, right? I'm going to talk to probably one of my close friends about an idea first. Then maybe I'll talk to my wife about it and kind of feel her out because I know she might be a little bit outside of where I would be interested in way before whoever I would want to truly talk to about it. Then I would present this. And this is that same mentality to where you've done a lot of this work now where everything's razor sharp. The next thing that started to become more and more common was that folks were like, well, okay, everything's looking really good and I'm really happy where we are. Like, I kind of want to start looking outside. I want to start looking outside the gym. And we talked about this in one of the previous episodes that we've talked about, which like the idea where eventually members and bringing in external traffic and traffic from outside the gym needs to be part of your goal here. But it cannot be one single angle, right? It cannot be just paid ads. It cannot be you blowing up people's DMs and being like, hey, if I sent you a video, would you watch it? Like, it can't be that.
Yeah.
Right? That cannot be. So you have all these things, which at the end of the day, you can have a lot of different ideas and lots of folks make good money. And this is where you'll hear phrases like organic lead, right? Organic leads and lead traffics organically and all this non-paid ads and the 5-day workshop to generating more leads organically. Like, that's what those phrases are in the marketing world, kind of a thing. And definitely what gets pushed on like brick and mortar locations. But what we have found is that before you get there, it's nice to you want some ringers. Like, you want to make sure there's people kind of out in the crowd. There's people out there that hold some clout that maybe are outside of your gym, but they are going to have some nice things to say about you. And the easiest way is to kind of be able to find, okay, who are the right people? Because it's going to take time and energy. So how do you find the right people that's going to give you kind of like the best bang for your buck, quote unquote, of like, who are people that maybe serve my people, that maybe would benefit from hearing about the things that I'm doing here in the gym? And could I also, so they could benefit from working with me, but then maybe my people can benefit working with them. And so like, let's look at like some obvious examples.
Yeah.
Right? The odds are you have someone that's going to be in the gym or is around your gym that's a massage therapist.
Yeah.
You probably have some relationships with people that are chiropractors. It seems to be everybody that we ever talked to, Tyler, had someone that was a physical therapist or was a physical therapist at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so you start kind of adding up. Were there any others that you guys had in your gym of like kind of were these like immediately adjacent niche type people?
Yeah, we had some really good ones actually. We were really fortunate to have this like kind of a really nice boutique like apparel store that also had a really nice coffee shop in it, like right next, like 2 buildings down. And so, I mean, we left in the beginning. Now in hindsight, I think we left. There's a lot of potential opportunities that we maybe had left on the table. But you just start in this thing where like they're able to kind of send us some action. We're able to really send them action. You know, we started doing little things. Really, I started going into this venture with this specific place next door, kind of just as a way to like wow my clients.
Right.
I didn't get a whole lot out of it in the beginning, except that what my service offering was just like slick. It was really cool. And that clients could come in to my morning classes, and if they wanted like a recovery protein shake or maybe one with a little coffee or whatever, something to be ready by the time class is done, so that when they finish up with class, they go out and they can, instead of getting into their car sweaty and driving home or having to drive through Starbucks and going to clean up and get ready for work, they're coming out with like a hot caffeinated beverage right out of the cafe. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was that was a piece that was just simply these people were members in the gym.
Yeah.
That owned the place, and then our clients were going there after. So like that was just the start. That was a very easy to identify opportunity.
Yeah.
And some of them are going to be very easy to identify, like that one. We're like, geez, that's there. My people go there. They know the people. That, like, that's kind of a no-brainer. But you got some kind of criteria put together, John, for how to like root out more of these, or at least if you have a list, we want to put together a list of lots of these things, easy opportunities, just anybody you have that has an audience and that does what they do well.
Yeah,
but we need to parse down that list, because we can't just pursue 50 of these things at a time.
No, and you got to understand, maybe like if you zoom out and you look at this as a whole, you're talking about really two different games that we want to play. So there's one game which is like local feel good, supporting the local economy type people, right? And there's going to be some folks where all that they can do is take your business card, put it on the desk at the counter up in the front, and that's the support. Or the idea is that they remember you, right? You do Toys for Tots, or you do the local drive, you do the canned food stuff during Thanksgiving, like whatever it may be. That's where you can have a lot of good, feel good, just generally just like, oh yeah, hey, go see my friend Tyler, right? They got a good gym. They'll take care of you.
But it's a bit one directional.
That's very one directional. And so now what we want to do is like, you can still do that. And in fact, I highly recommend that you do. You need to play that game of, being human. That's a good game to always play. But there is another game that you can now leverage instead of just, and this is very much like a coffee house would be a great example for this, of the idea of like leveraging, not only is that good juju when you're talking about of like partnering with a local spot that's really close, but it's also, if we put your coffee shop through what we're going to call it's called the crack filter, right? CRACK, not because anybody's selling crack out front, but because this is the filter that we're going to use to be able to remember these certain phrases.
Your crack dealer fits the criteria we're about to spell out here.
I guess that was. I misspoke. I hope Kyler edits this part out, because what I meant is that anyone, no matter where you're from, no matter what your business is, if it is adjacent and you see the opportunity, and my God, if somebody fulfills this crack filter, then you are leaving money on the table, my friends. And it's the Wild West when you're talking about recreational drug use. So
go crazy.
So go nuts. I mean, could you imagine the benefits of methamphetamines?
You'd hit your weight loss numbers. Client retention would probably take a bit of a shot over the long run, but okay, back to the business at hand here, John. So we want to identify these people. How do we
identify? And just like you said, so you start with a list of like everybody, their mother, their brother, their roommate, everybody that you can think of that has a business, local, not local, it doesn't matter. Anybody that you can think like, hey, they're adjacent to my business. And
are you starting within your gym community in this start inside out, but it doesn't, by the way, this doesn't have to be a hard fast rule, right? It can still be truly adjacent, but it is probably worth it to look close to you first, is how I would recommend it.
Absolutely. And more or less because that may be the easiest way to just start getting names on a list.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like if you're going to do some loose guidelines of what to follow to play this game, get a list of 50. Like you could probably get 10 pretty easy. You start getting up into the 30s, you're going to be like, God, who else do I know? Like, what else am I doing? So just get a list until you completely exhaust it and leave no one off the table. Local car wash. The car wash where people service their own car wash. Like, you don't know, right? Just put everything down. You don't know. It's like, if it's a business, let's get them on the list. Because now what we're about to step you through will give you enough guidance to whether either they make the list or they're off the list. Right?
Yeah.
So the first thing, right, we weren't kidding, right? The idea is it is called like the crack filter. So we start with the letter C, and this C stands for community. And so what you want to look at does the business that you've written down, people that you want to potentially work with, do they serve or support or assist in any way the same people that are at your gym? So at this point, you should have done all the work.
By the way, the same people, like as a what's the word? As a thought exercise. Yeah. The same type of people. Because you don't need more access to the people you've got. You've got them.
No. And that's why
it doesn't hurt that they're familiar with them, but we do want to. This is a good exercise in breaking into new audiences.
I
right?
want to avoid
getting new people.
And what I want to avoid is I want to avoid marketing shitty language, which is, who is your gym avatar? Right? That's the phrase, right? Who's the avatar? So it needs to be, you should have done all the thought exercise. By the time you get to this level of the game, you should have a very clear understanding of the types of people that are in your gym, or more importantly, the types of people you want at your gym. Yeah, once you've established that, now who serves it, right? If you are one of my favorite guys to follow on Instagram is Pale Horse Powerlifting.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That man is about Satanism and anarchy.
He's like 6'7" and he's tattooed literally from head to toe.
Like every inch of his body. Yeah. Absolutely. So his who that comes and joins, literally, they're my favorite shirts outside of the ones that I buy from other podcasts, it's an upside down cross that says cult on it, right? Yeah. Like I love how 100% in and hyper aware of who he is and who he wants the people in his gym to be. Like, it's just his like unapologetically fuck everybody else. I don't care if your fucking mother disagrees. This is who we are.
This is what we do here.
Yeah. And it's like, boom, like that dude knows exactly who he is going to have be involved. So if you can get that crystal clear on who you are, who you want to be attracting, all those folks that are with you, that's where you start to look at, okay, you got that list of 50 people, 50 businesses, local, member owned, whatever. And do they support the same types of people that you want to be doing?
So let's say we run through that and we get that list cut down to 40.
Next. You've talked about this a lot. The next thing needs to be, do they say anything? Do they take any hard stances or say anything that is radically different than the status quo? So let's say there's a coffee shop, right? Does the coffee shop just wish it was Starbucks?
Or are they the anti-Starbucks? Or are they Starbucks with absolute top-of-the-line apparel inside? And it's also a Lululemon deal. Like there's a lot of different things now where you're like, this is this thing fits better. And by the way, maybe that coffee spot, it was always going to be fine, but maybe this makes this one certainly better than the other one or the other one for you. So as far as getting your options parsed out, that's a big one, is like, so making decisive statements either about, because this really is about still communicating who they are. Right. But you can't, by the way, whether you're a gym owner or a coach or a freaking fitness influencer or whatever you're doing out there, you should be saying something decisive, right? Because at the very least, that means you are willing to put your neck on the line and defend the things you say. That if you're speaking all this wishy-washy, maybe if kind of stuff, that's like really shit sales language, and it's not very attractive to clients, anybody. You want to go to a coach who's like, I can maybe, probably, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not encouraging people to just like fire up a bunch of hyperbolic nonsense to be inflammatory, because that's almost even more of a turnoff. Mm-hmm. But you got to be unapologetically your thing, and you got to say what you are, and you got to be willing to stand there and defend it. So when you can recognize that in other people that are out there, if you find, in every town, you got to pick your first one to go forward on. If you've got 25 car dealerships that you maybe have direct access to, you need to pick the one that fits all of these things a little bit better. So the one who's out here and very specifically says, we're doing things differently, we are the different one, the vibe that connects with yours the best, that's going to give you a much better sense of who's going to work well for you and who's just going to kind of like, no. Because this really is about figuring out exactly what you're walking into when you get into this to these partnerships. So we've gone through and we've identified the people that are willing to make bold statements, right? The people that are willing to say who they are, and they do. They say thing A, they do thing A, they defend thing A, and they say thing B is the wrong way to do it, and we're not like the people that do thing B, right?
Right.
You found that, and now this list gets down to about 20 people,
right?
25 people. And where do we go from there?
So we keep filtering down. So you look at your coffee shop, right? So they have an audience, they have a community of people that they're going to serve, right? People that are going to buy coffee, an expensive cup of coffee, right?
Yeah.
Or appreciate the craftsmanship or whatever you want to say. It's okay. These people are going to be kind of closer to my people that have a value or are going to be on this side of town, right? That's helpful. Then it's the next thing you're looking at. It's like, okay, there's a reason why they were attractive to you. Right? Otherwise, it wouldn't have been like, hey, we should link up with the coffee shop. It's like, no, like those people are shitty or I feel badly when I walk in there and they kind of are assholes. It's like, all right, well, then I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
So then the next piece is what we call, so CR, and now we're at A. And so this is attractive character. And so this is a more salesy language. So let's break that down. But you need to look out to is there someone that you actually can reach out to? Or is this just is it a corporate giant or this lukewarm, like there isn't anyone that's actually accessible?
Yeah.
Because this takes time. And the last time that I checked, gym owners aren't professional marketers or networkers or any of that nonsense.
What do I look like? A professional extra time haver? Come on here.
So since that isn't us anywhere, it's like it needs to be the time that you spend is time, like is money well spent, right?
Yeah.
Time is dollars. So you have to make sure, is there someone that you can actually talk to? And an easy way of knowing this is let's say you've now got your list. We've whittled it from 50 to 25 because now we're here at the third layer. It's send them a message. As a human, reach out to them. Either send them an email, shoot them a DM, whatever. And if all you get is a shitty bot reply and then you're ghosted, that answers that question for you.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean this opportunity needs to die, but it does mean that you should move on what you can move on first. You know what I mean? Let's stick with, like I said, we're not always all about low-hanging fruit here, but let's get you what can get you something done here. So when we go through this,
you want to do business with a human.
Yes. Well, and also you've done this. You ever go to like the government office to have anything done, you'll realize very quickly that none of these people have the authority to make any decision at all anyways. So you can waste a lot of time talking to someone who just, oh yeah, I can't approve such a thing. Like the decision makers in a business are very, very, very small, especially in larger businesses. So like you really don't have access to, if you don't have access to a person who can make these decisions or to have those conversations, just table it until the time that you do. And maybe there's different ways you can hustle in and out. That's basic networking, and networking with a plan like this is sensible. Right. So we go through this kind of process and we get everybody that we hear back from, kind of, even if it's general or people that we personally know. Let's say we're down to like 20 people now, 15, 20 people. But on here we have like a coffee spot that sells apparel. We've also got a chiropractor who works, a chiropractor / massage therapist, right? Just kind of a body tune-up guy that trains at our gym even, right? That works well. Yeah. What other types of things might we be able to have our eyes on out there? We could have...
Listen, don't ever settle. So this was, I had the opportunity before my family and I moved, right? We moved from Florida and now we're here in Virginia. So before I moved, I had a great experience at a jiu-jitsu gym. It was a Gracie Baja gym that was across the street from where, my kids did other activities. They got linked up and we had an amazing time. And one of the things that I realized was those MMA gyms, those jiu-jitsu gyms, those types of
sport
gyms,
clubs.
Yeah. They didn't have like any method to any madness when it came to like actual like weight training.
The strength and conditioning side. Well, and there's a lot of opportunities in this actually as you go forward, not just for say MMA gyms, but if look kind of in your spaces where the strength and conditioning side of any niche could be farmed out, could be that somebody would hire out, and depending on your market, sometimes that's high schools, sometimes that's private schools, sometimes it's a traveling football club, sometimes it's but the MMA gym is a really good example. Actually, that's a very solid example because you can kind of sell their products. They can sell for you. If you meet and you're kind of on the same page and your philosophies align, you can kind of sell each other's services for each other and just make kickbacks and start to really stack offers in a really interesting way like we talked about before. So that's a very good example to have kind of tied into this list that we've got here.
And if you look at MMA gyms, like let's take them quickly, and I'm not going to go through every step, but like just in your mind, envision the MMA gym, the typical professor or leader, sensei, whatever, the guy that's in charge of the whole thing. Take them through this crack filter really quick. Like, all right, community, is he radically different? Are they most of the time they're pretty attractive people, like attractive characters, as in not like good to look at. Like they're psychotic. Like there's certain things that are uniquely
there's an extreme appeal to it that definitely draws a line. And if you're, say, a CrossFit gym, yeah, there's kind of quite a bit of crossover to that mindset.
Totally.
I go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna say, and you have like the MMA version, but you mentioned it earlier of like the idea of where like schools or sports clubs. Like I have another friend, him and his wife own a gym back in Florida, and he has an amazing niche with all of the local high schools. The baseball teams, they come to him and his wife because he trains sports specific stuff for baseball, lacrosse, football players, fill in the blank. And so it's a great thing that he carved out through that relationship, right, with those people.
And again, this is just one type of partnership, one type of thing. This is one of the ones we get into that's a bit of a two-way street, which is good, right? Because let's beat this. Let's go a little further in the process here. So we get this kind of whittled down. We know that that we have people that are an attractive personality, that fit your niche, that are have a community, that have good reach, that everything is kind of where you want it to be. And we've got this down list to, let's say it's around 10 people, 10 or 15 now. And we've got our body tune-up guy. Maybe you have an MMA gym. We've got your kind of boutique spot. What other opportunities do we need to start whittling down?
So we actually jumped into it just by us kind of naming like, okay, now these are even like, who are we going to whittle down? Because you want to make sure we talk the idea of like, does the community as a whole that a company serves or they want to work with, are they similar to your people, right? The types of people that you want to serve. That was the very beginning of our conversation. But now we're back. So CRAC. So the next C that's part of the word crack is going to be, is it complementary? So now, not only are they trying to serve the same types of people, but now is their business model, is what they do, is it complementary to what you do? Because this is where you can have folks that maybe they've made it this far. Maybe they've made it through as we've been filtering down. But if it is a body shop that specializes in custom tint, like, that's awesome. Like, I'm all about that. But that is a much harder sell or a harder stretch beyond just the, hey, go talk to Tyler. He's my boy. He'll take great care of you. Vice versa. That's pretty easy. But this level of partnership, next level type stuff we're talking about doesn't make it.
Yeah. Well, and you got to be tuned into how they execute their service, right? So you say we go to the MMA gym, like you go to a spot here and say you are the premium fitness center in your place, right? And you offer great packages, and say you maybe want to have you want to sell bulk sessions for the MMA athletes, or you want people who come in to sign up for MMA to be able to you know what I mean, at the MMA gym they can sell a strength and conditioning add-on that has a specific time slot out at your gym, or however this be done. But you don't want to get into a partnership like that if you are very premium and they are very gritty and dirty and grimy, and like that, it's going to suck, right? You cannot send your people through somebody else's process if their process sucks. Which you got to keep. That means you have to keep an eye on it, because that now comes to represent you. We would do this at times. When we had the heating and air conditioning company, was what we would do is we wanted to be the place where when people called, they trusted us. So if someone calls us and we were their people for fixing it, furnace went out, whatever else, sometimes we get people who call us and they go, there's something wrong with the electrical at my house. Like I need an outlet change, or I need this or that. And we're not technically electricians. You know, and we can't just come and do it. We're not licensed. Now, this has all since changed, but like what we had before was partnerships in which we would just sell someone else's service. We would turn them over to them for scheduling, or we would do the scheduling on their behalf. So as far as this client knew, they were dealing with me, and I was going to get a guy there. And it was a great arrangement for us. But if that guy comes in and has mud in his shoes, that guy comes in and does shit work. Like now, that's me. This is my business. And this thing that went from a great opportunity of he can have access to make a good impression with clients that are already my people, and then they can grow together as a relationship there as a customer and service provider. that all goes away very, very quickly and can just represent everybody very, very poorly if you don't pay good attention to how somebody delivers their service.
Absolutely. And that's a really good point of the word complementary of
Yeah.
is their service. So do they do what you do? Do they help? But how they do it, is it complementary? And the fact is their pricing complementary? You need to have somebody where it's like if you are truly assisting, your people are the high end, upper echelon customers, you need to make sure that if, just like you said, if you're going to slap your name on a thing, that they really fit the bill. And if they don't, then this really leads us into the last final thing, which is, remember how we said, do they have somebody that you can reach out to, right? That attractive character, that's somebody that can be accessible. Well, does the company itself have like a king or a queen? So that's kind of that last part, CRACK, K for king, is within whoever's left, if that customer, if that partner that you want to work with, do they have somebody that can truly, do they have someone that they follow? Do they have a boss person that has pull and sway? Like a really easy example, right, immediately that I think of is like, remember John from Papa John's?
Yeah.
Like that dude was the guy until he had a racist tirade, and then off he goes. But the problem is that the company itself said, this is our king, kind of follow him. Men's Warehouse, right? You're going to like the way you look.
You're going to like
guarantee
the way
it.
you look.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
Like that's a guy, that's the king, right? That's in charge of that thing. And so it's, if you find somebody and it's like, man, they are checking all the boxes, but I don't know
personality in front of it.
Or I don't know exactly where they're, it's either they don't have somebody that is following to where it's like,
or if they are, they suck. That's another risk, right? Yeah. You're going to go to Papa John? Listen, John, I gotta, that's a tough one to go, is if you're going to try to get into partnerships. Those things are, so you have to pay attention to how they're perceived. Do they have a solid leader? Are they respected? Do people turn to them? Because if nobody's going to listen to the person, it doesn't do you any good at all.
Right. And so you want to be able to have all those pieces. So if you have those pieces, the reason why, like that steps where we talked about of like, is their offer complementary? And it's like, well, if they don't have someone that is reachable and that people listen to, then it's not worth your effort to then try and reach out to somebody and be like, hey, like I would love to start a partnership, or I would love to do something. And it's, if they're not accessible or they're not open to it or whatever, or you'll never know. Like I don't want to waste my time. If I have a $10,000 customer, I can't send him to somebody that's like, yeah, $100. That sounds great. Like, it's like, whoa, no.
Yeah. Well, and maybe let's pursue this a little bit further, John. Can we get into some brief examples? Can we do an example of, let's say, the coffee thing, how you would incorporate a coffee thing into your offer?
Yeah.
Say the coffee spot. That's something simple, right? You go to the deal, you approach this place, it fits, it works. They have good social media presence. They sell other products, but they're priced on the premium side, and you happen to be priced on the premium side. They're worried about delivering a very high quality product, as are you. They're already sort of adjacent to your community. They're nearby the location. It all works really well, right?
Right.
How does that actually become a part of where we actually get some back and forth here? And maybe that's harder to do than you think, but I think if people can just think through these things and with a couple of examples, they will realize that, well, you want to blow the doors off convention, change the way you think about normally these types of things, and just start laying out possibilities until something makes sense.
So let's play it. You and I did not talk about this to do this, and I think it's perfect because let's do it in real time.
Let's riff on this. Yeah.
So they've made it through, right? They've made it through our crack filter. Somebody's at the very end. So now it's go time. Now let's try to figure out how can we play. The first thing, always, you have to be the one that's willing to provide value first. Period. Yeah. There is no ask. If you ask first, you lose the upper hand in this relationship. Is that you want to make sure it's equal, but you want to set the bar at what it means to provide value to this partnership / relationship. So the very first thing that's easy is, I would say, let's just go in the same direction that you had, where it's this idea where it's our people Like, we're going to build into our morning class for the folks that are our mid to upper tier people. We're going to ask, what is your preferred, coffee beverage in the morning when you have your class? And you're going to get that because guess what? That's going to be built into my tiered pricing so that when they finish that class, there's coffee here. There's hot, warm coffee. Like, your order to order is there every time. And it's like, what are we, a bunch of fucking baristas? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're a gym. Yeah. This is not what we do. And it's like, no.
Yeah, let them do it.
Exactly. And what you've done is you have just elevated the level of service that you provide for your people. It's like remembering the members' spouse's name and the kids' names.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it costs you nothing. And yet the return that you get of being a human is everything. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that principle and you're going to elevate it just a bit. Like the idea of sending the birthday card. That's nice. But man, now what you're going to do is, and maybe that doesn't make sense to do it every day, but it's once a week. Like, you're going to build this into your system to where now they're going to get some business. You're going to build it in and you've just raised that value. And now you've given a lot of value back to that coffee shop.
And another thing that I would consider, and of course I'm speaking of a specific place here where they also sell apparel and things. It's like a yoga type coffee spot, right?
Perfect.
And so if I'm riffing on this type of arrangement, I would go when I have clients come in, I would have as part of my introductory offer would be, we'd work out some sort of arrangement to get their foot in the door. So I don't know what pricing things are possible. This is why you need to communicate with this other owner. But you could very easily include a 10 to 20% discount if you pre-sell, say, $300 worth of fitness wardrobe stuff. Or you can pre-sell into your packages like a startup package or a New Year, New You package that you roll out for starting New Year that involves you selling, call it a punch card, gift card, but at a rate that you agree to with the business, pre-selling some of their products for them. In a bundle, of course. Like, here's your deal. Yep, you go down there whenever, this week, next week, and pick out your stuff. I would also be interested in maybe pre-selling punch cards as well. For if you want to come after training, you want to come buy this here, you can buy 50 drinks, buy 20, or however you want to do it. But work those into some of your tiered offerings, or add it as a layer, or as a bolt-on, or something. But now that still just sits, again, we're talking about offering value first, and we're riffing on this one on the fly. And this is probably not the most ideal one, but that's how this is always going to go. But I still feel like I'm only giving them value.
Sure.
Kind of, right? I'm selling a lot of their drinks for them. I'm able to maybe really nudge a lot of people into their doors. But how is that coming back for me? And one way I would for sure do it is I would want some sort of commission deal, especially if I'm selling a lot of stuff at full price. Let's just say 10% comes back directly to me for sales.
Definitely.
Right? Which is awesome, right? That means that now, as a person who's just closing people on gym memberships here and there, I'll get my commission for closing a gym membership. But this other layer, hopefully it sits amidst a very well orchestrated tiered offer. But this other layer may sit and be able to make me an extra $100, $200 for having this conversation, or $50 here, or $60. You know what I mean? Like, this becomes worth doing if these offers are stacked and are premium, and you're just not afraid to really offer something and sell something as long as the partnership is solid. Now, how in this case? Maybe we set a bad example. How in this case do we get action coming back our way? How do we get them?
I've just been patiently waiting to be able to go. So you buried the lead. So since you said that this coffee shop is an apparel yoga type place, easy. So what you now have is you have a coffee shop that serves your earthier, crunchier type folks and especially if they sell, right, yoga apparel or that type of thing. It's like, man, you know that they have at least one person that is a self-proclaimed yogi that is on their staff that's making coffee as well, or maybe the owner is. So it's like, then let's open up the spot. Let's open up your gym, and you're going to open up a spot where they can have people come in, they do yoga, have some coffee, and they can use your space to run that yoga class. And so this now allows you to kind of creatively come up with some ways where you either cut a deal with them where now it's just them selling their yoga stuff. And the reality is that you get either you've already come to an agreement on the number of classes. If you're going to use the punch card idea, right? They now can sell yoga on Saturdays, right? With barista Tiffany, and you get coffee after every single yoga session, and you're going to be able to have a volume, you're going to give them a volume discount. And so that's immediately a way. Now you've just brought bodies into your door. And this, fill in the blank. It doesn't have to be yoga. It can be Zumba. It can be anything. And this is where immediately it's where, and again, another thing, right? It's, you want to strengthen, if they have made the crack filter, it means that they have a strong community of people that are passionate about supporting a local business, which means that they're going to probably have like live music some nights or whatever it is. They're going to have certain things where they want to draw people in maybe outside of the typical coffee house hours. So it's probably not that much of a stretch that they probably are going to have some type of a deal where maybe they do the damn thing where everyone comes in and pays to do like the wine and painting on the canvas thing. But it's a tiny boutique coffee shop. So guess what they don't have? They don't have square footage.
Space.
Guess what you have? And so now immediately you are a supportive space where it's not fitness yet, but now
But they're comfortable in your space. And having people be comfortable in your space and having it, by the way, this isn't giving this away. Each one of these things will make you money or value one way or another, right? So, and this is a small example that maybe isn't ideal, which is kind of why I wanted to go forward with this one, right? Because, and maybe this is the homework we should give the listener. Go through, pretend, so let's obviously how assessing your overall options, right, requires that entire crack filter, and do that, absolutely. But go through maybe as a thought exercise after you've done that, really go through this, how you would kind of maybe, how you could serve each other and how you could sell each other's offers or what types of things you could put together. Do that for the massage therapist. You know what I mean? To run that one through your head. You don't need us to do it, but there's lots of options and packages and things like this that can be put together and sold within your members that are very, very, very lucrative. From a introductory thing, we're going to get you started here. You got 8 weeks. Okay, you're going to come in. You're going to do a movement and goal setting assessment with Coach A. Then B, you're going to go over to our Chiro guide. He's going to get you adjusted and ready to go. And then we're going to take a couple days, get a massage. And we're going to come in. You're going to start day 1, day 2, day 3. It's going to be a rough first week. You get a massage each week if you want. You can go every 2 weeks, or how you can build some premium packages. By the way, do you think who's buying a massage every week? I don't fucking know. But the type of people who are starting something and have a lot of disposable money and go, it's just a way for them to invest in this experience being good and them not being destroyed and sore and taking care of themselves. And somebody who has the expendable money, like there's actually a lot of offers you can build in for your fitness center, your gym, with a Chiro that doesn't involve just giving them a table in the back of your fucking building so they can come and tell you that you're coaching people wrong. You know what I mean? That's a totally different thing that people do with bringing in a physio into their gym that I'm not always stoked about. You know what I mean? Just having somebody taking space in your gym. Like that's not necessarily the partnership that I want. There needs to be back and forth. And so I think the Chiro option or the massage therapist option, that's one that I think the listeners can go through, and they can really walk through that stuff after they've gone through the process and craft some real options after we put some that are maybe less lucrative with the coffee one, because it's a lower margin business, kind of. Not lower margin, but lower ticket price business.
For sure.
But there's places for everything to fit in as how you start to build these relationships and stack those offers. And this is when we talk about a system that can get you not just referrals, but like money. Someone else is selling your shit. Somebody else, it's another stream of revenue that maybe you haven't thought about. And by the way, you've got a bunch of people. You could literally make money just being the salesperson for this massage therapist. And this is where this thing really is evolved to. When you crack that mindset open a little bit and you go, oh, I could really provide some real value to them in a way that like isn't just me being the good guy here, you know? And I think that's a really important piece. I think that it requires a mindset shift though. This took me quite a bit to get beyond the normal stuff. And you have to think outside the normal ways you do things.
And the lowest hanging fruit of what you need to get past here is the idea that for you to provide more value to your people does not mean you need to invest more hours.
Yeah. You don't even
This
need
is-
to do more.
Nope. You just
Let
need
other
to make,
people carry that weight for you. You know, let
That
another
already-
business carry that weight. They already do that.
Because-
They're going to do that better than you.
without a doubt. The same idea that you would be looking to outsource certain parts of your business if you're no good at sales, or if you're no good at designing t-shirts. We've talked about this. If you're no good at fill in the blank, you need to stop fulfilling on it, because it's a worse product that you're fulfilling on, and it's going to cost more money in the end for you to do it. So find these people that pass through that filter, and just like you said, start easy. Start with the ones that are more obvious, right? Could I figure out a way to take the local Jiffy Lube and build it into your business? Yeah, Tyler and I can figure it out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's not what you're trying to do here. Is
Yeah.
find people.
And it's not really worth your effort, or you got to,
No.
you got to have a lot of stuff in place before that's your easiest play.
Right. And the fact is that it will never be your easiest play, because you don't sell cars. Like, it just, you work in your area. So take them through that crack filter, and you will immediately, it will start to become clear for you of some folks that are worth now. Now you get to be a human. Now go practice humanity. And in the end, something positive is going to come out of it. I absolutely guarantee it. You just have to make sure that you are the one that's coming value first, and let the rest of it come.
Yeah. Well, this is the most candy we've given away for free so far on this one. So
would agree.
I hope you guys enjoy it. This is a good thought exercise for you guys to run through, though. I think this is this can have you very, very well equipped for the types of thinking that we need kind of going forward in this. So if this thought exercise is a thing, and you've gone through and you kind of made this thing your thing, and it makes sense to you, and you're excited about this opportunity, make sure you get into that Facebook group, the Gym Owners Movement group on Facebook.
Yep.
That's going to be the place where we can discuss all things gym owners, all things John and I and Nick, and we're going to get into all sorts of exciting stuff here soon. So we'll be bringing Nick on shortly as well for some of the the sales specific stuff, and some of the transition talk, where we talk about when you get things rolling in your gym and how you actually start moving things from A to B to C to D, and where you start selling and what that's like. And so we're not just staying concepts here. We're really going to get you some voices from on the ground. So this is your starting point, though, for real, for those of you out there. Like this is a good one you can do, and if this works, hit us up. You know, if you like the sounds of this, there's a lot more where this came from that's not just down this path.
And these are the things that we do inside of Gym Hacking University, what we do inside of the Facebook group. These are the thought exercises. These are the actionable steps that folks follow that allow them to be able to be successful, again, with their already existing stuff. What you have is enough.
Yeah.
You just need, more money, being more organized, and
More opportunities, more good opportunities, not more time taken from you. Yeah.
No.
So I think, well, hit us up. Find me on Instagram at Tyler F. and Stone. You can follow the Gym Owners Podcast on Instagram. John, they can find you
at jbanksfl, and head to hackyourgym.com. That's where you can find the links as well to the Facebook group and all things gym hacking.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Sweet.